Hey everyone, it's Peter Schwartz, Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. We are at Super Bowl 58 Radio Row here in Las Vegas, and I'm joined by legendary ESPN personality, and if you watch the show, like my wife and I did, Dancing with the Stars.
I was misjudged.
You were misjudged.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing some art that they couldn't appreciate yet because I was so far ahead, right? Like,
right.
Remember in, what was the movie with Back to the Future, when Michael J. Fox is playing, right? He's bringing stuff they hadn't heard yet.
Yeah.
So similar.
It's Kenny Mayne. I don't know if I finished the introduction or not, but it is Kenny Mayne.
They knew.
And of course, everybody knows who you are. How exciting is this for you? I know you've been to a bunch of Super Bowls before, but to be here in Las Vegas, first time ever, what's the atmosphere been like for you?
Oh, it's great. And I think it's cool how proud the town is. You know what I mean? Like, so many people I've run into, from the bellman to the hotel folks, are like, this is so cool. Like, they thought we'd never even get all the sports. Now there isn't a sport Vegas doesn't have, and now they have the Super Bowl. And I have a connection because I went to college there. I played at UNLV a long time ago.
Okay.
So that's why when you saw the brace I was wearing, I
was going to ask you if that was an athletic injury.
I wrecked my ankle playing football my junior year, and then a bunch of time went by and it got worse and worse. And I got this device up in Gig Harbor, Washington, and my wife and I started a foundation for veterans. So that's really the biggest reason I'm in town, is to hype my foundation. Joe Montana's helping us tomorrow. I don't know when this is airing. Is this airing today? Today's Wednesday.
It'll be uploaded today, but it'll be forever.
Yeah, the key is letting people know about our event. So
absolutely,
if they go to Run Freely, RUNFREELY, runfreely.org, there's a little sign up if you think you want to catch a pass from Joe Montana. So I've been
I would drop it. No question, I would drop it.
Even if you drop it, you get to pick it up and leave with it. And in doing so, all we need is 5 or 6 people. I'm doing 7 total. I told them I'd make it really small. We're going to make enough to get a veteran walking pain-free. We're going to do 1 veteran. In 10 minutes, Joe Montana's going to go like this, get a picture, shake his hand, and 1 veteran is going to get a phone call on Friday, hey, you're next.
That's an awesome thing, and it's so important that we honor our veterans, because I think sometimes they go very much overlooked by certain people, and I think when there's sports personalities that, like yourself, that step up and do something for them, I think that's very important.
Well, and the other thing is, this is sort of a new product, so the VA hasn't approved it, and they're not paying for it, and without it, these guys are limping around or not walking at all. We had one veteran, this woman from New Mexico, and she was in a wheelchair coming up to Seattle. She left walking onto the plane and gave away her wheelchair. Like, we have these amazing stories. Every one of them is unique. They're also humble and thankful, and I always say it wrong. Like, when I say we give them to, that's the wrong way. Like, they've earned it, right? Like, they're our next recipient is a better way to say it.
How much fun was it for you doing SportsCenter all those years? I mean, over the years, there's been ESPN anchors that have made a mark in different ways. You always had that funny side of you. You always, quick-witted about things. How much fun was that for you, and how much do you appreciate when people say things like that to you about it?
It's funny. Keith Olbermann told me a good story about, I forget who it was. It was an actress on an airplane, and everybody kept coming up to her to, why am I forgetting her name? Bewitched. Why can't I think of her name? She played
Vinny, you want to help us out? Do you remember the actors?
This is terrible. How am I forgetting? We'll get her name before it's over. And he was on the same plane. And he was sitting next to her. And there must have been 30 people that came up either to say hi, thank you for what you did, get a picture, whatever. And he asked, does that bother you? And she said, no. Like, I just say thanks for remembering, because it's kind of cool that I've had kids say, I watched you when I was, in grade school. I'd watch the repeats, or you bringing it up the way you did. So, as opposed to taking it for granted, it's kind of cool that you were kind of part of people's lives in a certain way for a good amount of their life.
And I could say proudly, I worked for ESPN for a short time at the ESPN New York radio affiliate, and to see it, what it became over the years. I mean, when it started back in 1979.
Elizabeth Montgomery. I knew he had it. I think he transferred it. See, that was magic right there.
My partner, Vinny Tickets, helping out with
I had it before you told me, right? I just guessed.
What was I talking about? Oh, ESPN's launch in 1979. Nobody gave ESPN a chance at that.
I was in college in 1979 here in Vegas, and this new thing called ESPN was coming up. And I played football. I'm in sports all my life. And I remember literally like, what a stupid idea. Like, who's going to watch 20, who cares enough to watch that much
Will
sport?
Ferrell did that Ron Burgundy thing. Like, no one's going to watch this. I don't care.
And then obviously I was wrong. And, they kept adding things too. And then they got rights to actually show real games. And then I sort of made that my goal once I got into sports broadcasting, which I really started in news. I just happened to shift over to sports in Seattle. And suddenly is like, that became my goal. I see what they're doing. I want to be a part of that. Took a while to convince them to hire me, but they finally did. In fact, I just ran into Howard Katz, one of my old executives, and thanked him for how he treated me. That was way back in my first few years there. So it lasted 27 years. I'm doing other things now, and no regrets. It was fun while it lasted.
I touched on it at the beginning because my wife and I watch Dancing with the Stars all the time. How much fun was that for you? And they even brought you back a couple of times to do like that commentary with Jerry Rice. Yeah,
that was more fun than the dancing. Me, Jerry, and Len Goodman, God rest, he just passed away.
I know, sad.
Great guy and a good golfer. No, I think I was so bad they needed me still included. But I don't think I was the worst in my field. Master P was worse than I, and he would admit that. But he had a big following. He's Master P. He's a big deal.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, who's this guy? Some weirdo from a sports channel. So I didn't get any fan support. And Bruno, the judge, hated me. But they grew to like me. We grew to all be friends. Yeah. And I didn't care that I was no good. I tried to tell my partner, why don't we have me do good stuff in a small space? And she's like, no, we're going to be ambitious and run all over the floor.
You see, but you couldn't do that because I remember watching other performers.
I was like chasing her.
There were other performers, Kenny, that were on that show, and they played it safe.
Yes.
And they would get crucified by the judges.
Somewhere in the middle would have been the play, but not what we did, because there was one move I knew in practice over and over and over that I could not do what she asked me to do. So when it came for live TV, I threw away the move and got back into position. They thought I was screwing around. I kind of was, but I was also just trying to catch up to Andrea.
So we have this game going on here in Las Vegas on Sunday, Chiefs and the 49ers. Yep. Who do you like, and how do you size up the matchup?
Well, either team winning would not surprise me. San Francisco hasn't played its best game yet. They barely got by the two games they played. I think you got to knock out the champ, though. Kansas City, and they got Mahomes. So he's the factor that says if it's a pick'em game and one team has Mahomes, I'm going with that team. But not with strong conviction, because San Francisco's a very good team. They could get off in a bigger way than we've seen so far in the playoffs and just kind of get a lead and hang on.
And could you ever, you went to college here obviously, could you ever imagine back then that we'd be talking about Las Vegas having an NFL team, an NHL team, a major league team coming, and I think the NBA is going to come too.
Better come to Seattle at the same time.
Well, Seattle got screwed when the Sonics left.
Tell me about it.
But Las Vegas is going to get a basketball team, and now they've got the Super Bowl.
And they got the WNBA champs.
And they're fantastic in all the fights. Could you have imagined it would turn out to be a sports town?
I was just telling somebody else, it was always such a silly notion that Las Vegas would somehow pollute the games, because the truth is the people who set a line on a game, they want the fairest game because they have to pay on it. They don't want it to be a dirty game. So that was just always a backward notion. Over time, the networks and the leagues kind of relented. I know this guy. Hey.
Hello, this guy.
Royalty here, Peyton. Over time, everybody just like, oh, there's money to be made. So they dropped their moral stance when everybody could monetize what this is. It did explode in such a way, it is kind of weird as someone who's watched sports all their life, that now it's relentless, that, you got the anchors in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
By the way, they just hit the over on the, but whatever. People at home enjoy it, both for the thrill of rooting for your team, watching the game itself if you love the game.
Right.
But who doesn't want to have $5 on the game? It's kind of fun. It makes it more exciting.
I want you to be honest with this last question. Have you become a Swiftie?
Well, I already was. I mean, I didn't go to her shows. My daughters did. I like her music. Nothing to do with her relationship with Travis. I think she's great.
Yep.
And the complaints are so stupid. I think every sport you've ever watched, going back to Jack Nicholson and Diane Cannon at the floor at the Lakers, or at every big boxing event, right, a Muhammad Ali fight, they would show, look who's in the audience, Sidney Poitier or whoever. They do that at the Knick games, Ben Stiller and Spike Lee.
Yep.
It's just common that if you're broadcasting an event, it's kind of cool to say, look, it just got endorsed by that person, right?
Right.
She happens to be mega. She's Beyonce.
Right.
She's huge, and they only show her for like 20 seconds the whole game.
Yeah, that's all overblown. They make
Yeah.
it seem like she's on for minutes at a time.
They should interview her this time. Let's give her some.
No, they have to get her. They have to convince her, Kenny, to do halftime at the Super Bowl one year.
Well, they might do this year. She might just walk on. See if Usher says, give me some help.
Get rid of Usher. What's that?
No, not get rid of him. He might think it's a cool compliment. Have her do background vocals.
There you go. Give your charity one more plug.
It's called Run Freely, so it's RUNFREELY. I know you can all spell, but sometimes people don't know if there's a break in the words. Runfreely.org. Read our story. Decide if you want to be on the Joe Montana deal. If you don't, you can always contribute to the general fund.
Kenny Mayne, a legendary SportsCenter anchor and star of Dancing with the Stars. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's Peter Schwartz, Sports Bash at the Super Bowl, presented by TicketBash.com.